We're going to France to make a film, and basically to summarise what it is that it's the First World War. It's about Derry, it's about the city, and when I was growing up, it all seemed to revolve around Ulster Unionism, the Somme, the UVF, and the Protestant community. And in recent years, in fact, as maybe even 20 years, I've been researching the Irish nationalists and put on this an army of Irish national volunteers that went off to fight in France for the rights of small nations, for Catholic Belgium, and for the secure home rule, which would have been Dominion status for Ireland, something that was special to them. And we'll also look at the Unionist men from Fountain who fought at Thiepval on the 1st of July, and we'll tell their story too. Probably it's an honour to be here at St Martin's, and you as means, this would have been the headquarters for the men from Derry that were here, and they paid, they all bunched up and they bought a beautiful wee statue from, they got the finest craftsman in Paris. They do a statue of the Virgin Mary, those victories, and it's on there. And really nice to be here, 100 years on. See the statue de Saint Martin, the Irlandais, the 16th Irish Division.
La statue de la victoire.
Voilà.
Là-bas. Ah. Bon. Donc ce monsieur il découvre là.
Ben oui.
Bon.
Et donc moi je lui ai envoyé
Oui.
l'article parce que nous on sait de la statue.
Oui.
En fait on ne sait pas grand chose.
The statue here, I mean, it's really so special. Is that the men from Derry in Ireland, they had out of their wages, they pay it up. And General Hickey, in charge of them, says we're not going to do half measures here. It's really going to be good. And they got the finest Parisian sculptor to make this victories, the Virgin, and so the statue here was actually paid for by the money of the men of the Bogside and the Brandyville and the Waterside and there, these national volunteers and everything. It's really special, and it was actually thought when they were coming to church here to present the statue, a German shell hit the church, and it was just 5 minutes they would have all been killed, and they thought it was divine inspiration, and it was. Of course, that's France. Soldats from Irlandais and soldats from France. Our people were here from December 1915 until August 1916. So they spent nearly 8 months here, and nearly 50 persons died of our. gifts for you, for me. This is very special to us. Very special. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. We're here today, we're going to, it's like a wee pilgrimage here from Derry, from the Bogside to Brandywell, the Waterside Irish National Volunteers, and we're down here now to the graves, and there's a wee man here called Dan Keir. He lived in Deanery Street in the Brandywell. He was an Irish National Volunteer. He was a member of the Wolf Tone Band, and he was killed in a night raid, and along with him was killed John James Dover, and his family's over here. John James Dover was from Stanley's Walk Like He Road to Bogside. Dan Keir's at Brandywell, Irish National Volunteers. They actually thought they were out here fighting for Ireland, fighting for France, and it's a very, very humbling experience being here and seeing their graves, you know. I might have to do it again if I get it wrong the first time, Gavin.
You just say that, so. Dave's not coming out to you, is it?
You go a wee bit harder now when you go it again.
David, go on, James.
The one's blowing the wrong way for us.
They do put that channel there, man. No, roll these up there. Yeah, no, come on in, you can do the next one there. Alright, did you get that? Alright. I'm going to roll this here.
But I'm just...
No, look, no, alright.
but I'm just
Right.
trying to keep the...
Pull up that corner, right, don't put my stand on. You roll up there, back like the after, right? Alright, look at that.
Here's James Rush. James Rush, we were just come from the grave down in Luz-on-Keil there. We were down at John James Dover's grave. John James Dover was killed in a night raid, him and Dan Keir. We were in it there, buried side by side. And James Rush, Wooly Dover, who was injured in the raid, and John James Dover was killed. John James and Wooly Dover were brothers. And the wildest feeling, there was a covenant made on the battlefield. If I don't make it home, will you look after my family? And when Wooly Dover went home, Wooly Dover married James Rush's widow. And people were saying, why? And they think, you know, your children could have ended up in the workhouse if you know there was nobody there to look after them, one thing and another. And so that's James Rush, another Bogside man. And Wooly Dover's house and James Rush's widow, they married him, that was the house in 1969 that James Callaghan spoke out of the window, you know, down at Free Derry Corner, saying that he was there for justice and equality. So conflict just goes on through the centuries, and so very sad. Look, all these dairymen. There's 30 dairymen buried on here, like, and well, the only consolation is that they're together, and another wee consolation is that they actually got graves, because on these walls are commemorated the people that don't have any graves. Queen War, Rudyard Kipling's son, David Cameron, the British Prime Minister. A man Doherty was killed at the same time, and he's commemorated up here. And I can't understand why he hasn't got a grave. But the only thing I can think of is maybe after the shell exploded, maybe there was nothing left or whatever. Which is sad as well. But there's plaque for all the different regiments. It's not on. Sure. Go and see if you can see the Royal Irish Regiment, because the first one from Derry that killed Doherty's on it. You look at the names here, the Royal Honor Skilling Fusiliers in there. I used to teach in St Joseph's and Peter's School and that as a supply teacher, and it's like the rule. Like calling the roll, you know, in the school. You know all the names there, look at them. Megan, Cassidy, Smith, Doherty, Clark, Cassidy, Macaulay, Lynch, O'Donnell, O'Kane, you know. So, those are hard people, aren't they? Sad, but hey, opinion. Mullen from Derry here, he was 29 years of age, Royal Irish Regiment, and here we have, this is Wally Woods. He was from the Foyle Road, and he had to pay extra money to get extra words on that, and his mother was paid for to get agonising heart of Jesus, have mercy on his soul. The story about Wally Woods, he was only a young flag, he was only 19, and the mother back home in Derry blamed a certain man for recruiting them in and getting them killed, and then she says for the rest of their life they never spoke to that family because they thought he had enticed their son. They wanted to hang. This is Joseph McCafferty. He's from Waterloo Street, loving memory of our son from his parents. Joseph McCafferty is a relative of Neil McCafferty, the famous journalist. We picture him. Joseph is only a young boy too. His mother in the 1930s in Derry, the Derry Catholic Ex-Combatants Association and the Irish National Veterans Association, and that they used to have a separate on St Columba's Day, the 9th of June. Thousands strong, they marched over the Bogside, they went to Mass in St Eugene's Cathedral, and Joseph McCafferty's mother used to lay the wreath then up at the War Memorial in the Diamond. Island of Ireland Peace Park at Mazines. very symbolic for all the people of Ireland, north, south, east, west, all religions, all persuasions, all classes, creed. This year's to remember everybody. I was actually on the Journey of Reconciliation Trust, the original trip in 1996, when the idea, Gareth Fitzgerald was on us, David Irvine, all the thing, and they decided, let's build a peace park. And it was a very noble idea, and Paddy Hurt and Glenn Barr went to work, and they decided that they would build an Irish round tower. And it was the fact that the round tower predates anything in Ireland, so it doesn't represent any one-sided community, it represents everybody. And I think they brought the stone from a workhouse that was demolished somewhere in the Midlands in Ireland. And there was a man actually working on this, building it. There was the master craftsman, was Bobby Forrest from Limavady. And Bobby came back, and he seen an article I wrote in the Derry Journal about the Irishmen, the Catholic men that died. And he actually came down from Limavady to Derry, and he presented me with 2 stones from this that were left over, and he presented me with a used artillery shell that he had found whenever they were doing. The people that built it was cross community too, young people, Protestants, Catholics and that, and so, and then the Queen, English Queen, and the Irish President, Mary McAleese, opened this here, and it was a beautiful day, and it's hugely symbolic, and it's a little bit of Ireland here representing us, our people, and commemorating them. I think it's beautiful. It's very impressive. I wish the sea were not so wide that parts me from my love. I wish the things men do below were known to God above. I wish that I were back again in the glens of Donegal. They'll call me a coward if I return, but a hero if I fall. Patrick McGill, from the Glenties in Donegal, London Irish Regiment, Children of the Dead End, and that great writer sums it all up. Ledwidge served a lot of time during the First World War in Ebrington Barracks, and he was friendly with a man called Lord Dunsany. He was a soldier and a skilled Fusiliers as well. He lived in Government House out the Letterkenny Road, and he wrote some great poetry in Derry, a poem called Along the Fahan Side, and that. He was from Slane in County Meath, famous Slane, Francis Ledwidge, they called him the Blackbird of Slane. His poetry is I like it very much. This is one of his poems here. It is too late now to retrieve a fallen dream, too late to grieve, a An aim unmade, but not too late, to thank the gods for what is great. A keen-edged sword, a soldier's heart, is greater than a poet's art, greater than a poet's fame, a little grave that has no name. Francis Breslin. Belgium now. We're in a place called Vichet, I think, but it's white shit. The ordinary soldiers would have called it. And seen a big battle of 16th Irish Division. And after the battle, one of the battles, the carpenters, the joiners, they made from old oak beams from a farmhouse. They made this beautiful Celtic cross. And then in the 20s, they decided to erect the granite memorials to them. But the original Celtic cross that the soldiers made in memory, that's now an island bridge, the memorial in Dublin for the World War I dead. You can still see it. And here, the inscription here, do come glory J August and over an Ireland, for the glory of God and the honour of Ireland. There's a similar one to this also now at Guillemont, back in France on the Somme, where they captured as well. And it's in memory of, and it's in tribute to the men from Derry that fought with the 16th Irish Division. I think it's quite nice. Left the house to come on this trip here to Belgium, and there was a man working on the house doing a bit of work for me, and we got talking, and he seen me getting prepared for this trip, and he said to me, he says, you know, his mother and father still alive, they're in their 80s. He says that their mother and father's uncle, so that's great. Two of them had died in the war, and I said, what's his name? And we researched it, and he was from Nailers Row in the Bogside. So I researched it and got the information, and what was very unusual about it was this man from the Bogside was killed here fighting at Mazines, where people say the Ulster and Irish divisions were side by side, brothers in arms. But this man Boner from the Bogside was in the Ulster division. So dispels the myths that all the Ulster division men were Unionists and Protestants, and all the Irish division men were not. There was a lot of mixing in, and he told us that he's absolutely certain that we're probably the first people ever that have come specifically to honour his memory here at Dattenham. I would like to think that maybe that he made somebody get his mommy and daddy, his mother and father in their 80s over to it. So it's very humbling. Belgium, and we're going up to Wooly Redmond's grave. He was the commanding officer of the Dairymen, and he's very unique in that, unlike everybody else was brought on the communal cemeteries, he was kept, his grave was kept individually out on its own. The nuns in Loughra Hospice says they would look after it, but they're long gone. And there's another great Derry connection here, the grave of Major Wooly Redmond. Wooly Redmond was 3 times in prison for Irish nationalist offences. He was MP for East Tyrone. He was the brother of John Redmond. John Redmond at the time was the undisputed leader of Irish nationalism at that time. Wooly Redmond was in charge of the company of Dairymen, nearly 250, 260 men from Bogside, Brandywell, Waterside, Rosemount areas of Derry. And one of the last veterans to die was a man called Wooly Foster, lived down in Mazines Park. And Wooly Foster's nephew, when we were doing our exhibition and research, was telling us that the Dairymen revered and idolised Wooly Redmond. He was such a good human being, he was such a good man, he was a Catholic, and he shared the same Irish nationalist outlook as them. As you can see, he's got a totally different headstone. He's on his own. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't know him. I've read a lot about him, and they'd be having your own grave and things like that. He must have been a very special person. Now, he went into action with his men at Mazines. He was 56 years old. The military officers, you can't go into battle, you're too old. And he insisted on going into battle. He went into battle, he was injured. They say he might have survived if he had been younger and fitter. Wooly Redmond left a letter for his wife, and it says, if anything happens to me and I die, you can open this letter. And in the letter he says, and he wanted everybody to know, that he genuinely, honestly, sincerely believed that he was going to fight for Ireland and serve his country here. A nice place, very humble. This is a village in northern France called Guillemont, and there's a neighbouring village called Ginchy. Now, a lot of people think that the Battle of the Somme was only the 1st of July. Derry suffered huge casualties on the first day of the Battle of Somme. Over 100 men from the Unionist tradition and maybe upwards of 20 from the National. But the Battle of Somme lasted right through until November, and in September what happened was what I termed Nationalist Derry's Battle of Somme. It was a battle of Guillemont and Ginchy, when the cream of the youth and the manhood of the Nationalist Bogside, Brandywell, Waterside, Rosemount. And it was a huge significant victory. They captured the both of them. And there was a bit of resentment back home in Derry that they never ever got the credit that they deserved. And there's 20 of them died here. 20 people from a small area, 6 of them are injured. And Wooly Foster, he lived in the 1988, used to sit in the Delacroix. Wooly Foster was injured 3 times, and an officer of the Munster Fusiliers gave him a wee flask of tea, and he still got up and piped the pipes. And the songs that he was piping was A Nation Once Again and The Wearing of the Green and that. And they captured the 2. And to me, it's history, but I can't understand why this hasn't sort of been a pilgrimage place for the people of Derry. I was here 20 odd years ago when the idea was emerged for the build Ireland Peace Park, along with Paddy Joe McLean, for one of the Hooded Men, John O'Gorman, the tank commander from World War II, Terry Neal, the Arsenal manager, Paddy Hart, Glenn Barr, and I don't know, you can feel their ghosts haunting you, touching you here, and I think it's pretty symbolic that somebody's got the wee Irish regular here, and the Pappy representing the 2 traditions. But even one of the Ulster Division men in later years were interviewed, 3 or 4 of them, and I've watched the interview, and the interviewer says to them, boys, what about the Irish Division and what they achieved, their victories and that? And they honestly, you fair play to them, turn around and says, look, they says, I don't think we were as generous to them as what we should have been. I think that says all that. researching the First World War in Derry, man, for near on 25 years now. And just before I left to come on this trip, I done a wee bit of an extra wee bit of research. And I just discovered that my great granddad's brother, Seamus Breslin, from the Lecky Road in Derry, is buried here. And I doubt very much that we don't even know he existed, and we are his family. So I can say for absolute certainty that we're probably the first people from Derry, and most definitely the first people from his family to visit his grave. He's only a young man from the Lecky Road. He died on the 21st of March 1918, and the war ended in November. So he was one of the later casualties of the war, so that's probably the reason why he's buried so far away out here. It's very isolated. Find a thing here, this first, it's very rare you see us here. Now, there's a man called Hopkins from Lannaskillen Fusiliers, but also it says there must be a double grave. There's also a soldier of the Great War on his grave that's known unto God, so he wasn't identified. There's a man from the Lecky Road on the Bogside, a relative of mine. We're here now today at the Thiepval Memorial on the Somme. I think the Somme needs no introduction. 1st of July it began, and there are over 70,000 of the men killed at the Somme have no known grave. So this is the nearest families will have to their memorial, is having their name here in this big monument in the Somme. It's very poignant that they don't have graves, and we've visited other people that have. And to sum it all up, there was a mother, a mammy back home in Derry, and one of her sons has no known grave and is commemorated. And she wrote a poem about it, lamenting her loss. And this is her poem. In memory of Private John Vincent Toy, 10028, killed in action the 2nd of the 7th, 1915. And she wrote, had he reached home, though sorely maimed, our own precious dear, and friends stood round his bedside, as the end was drawing near. Some comfort then we could have got, we knew where he was laid. Bedewed the grave top with our tears, and keep it bright arranged. Each evening, as the sun went down, we could have wandered there, and bending low before our God, have said a silent prayer. Until we meet on heaven's bright shore, we bid adieu for evermore, till all our earthly sorrows cease. God rest his soul in peace. From his mother, Mrs. Sarah Toy, 2 Glasgow Street, Derry. This is the famous Ulster Tower, the 36th Ulster Division. It's based on a replica of the tower at Helen's Bay. scale of it, how revered, honoured, respected, deferential. I mean, it's a sacred place for the unionist community. Compared to, say, the 16th Irish Division, we crosses and that. Well, that's here 20 years ago with a journey of reconciliation. Plus for the idea was to build the Irish Peace Park that we've seen. And beautiful place, and the Orange Order, Orange Brethren have established their own wee memorial and their own wee garden here. And as far as I'm aware, this isn't part of the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, you know, like all the other cemeteries. This is a special thing. And so the Unionists, Derry, Londonderry, Ireland, Ulster, this is a really sacred place to them. And if you see the casualties and the scale, the deaths, I mean, say back home in the Fountain, after July the 1st, there was over 100 dead. You see them up the War Memorial and the Diamond, and this is where they died, out in these fields around here in these woods there at Thiepval and that. 100 years on, there you are. This is immaculate and still revered and honoured, their memory. Praise where praise is due. Over many years, whenever groups of apprentice boys from Derry and even Leslie Bell and the old war veterans that were still alive, when they came here, they honour and respect their men. They also went to Gilmont, the Irish Cross, and showed some honour and respect to the men from the Bogside, the Brandywell, Rosemount, Waterside, Irish National Volunteers that fought and died with the Irish Division as well.